I didn't know you guys were from Texas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're in Dallas.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Here comes the music. Bat signal's out. Come on, YouTube Cash. Let's go. Oh yeah, Impulse, Gav, Grant, Tokyo, Megaplex, G Grant. All right.
I just found some like super old iPhone headphones because I was trying to test them out.
It also sounds like you're talking through them. Tap your mic.
Oh man, I hope that's not the case.
Tap your mic. Oh no, you're good. Yeah, I don't know why. That was weird.
Does it sound bad now?
It did for a second, but it just might have been Skype. Maybe you must have a lot of Dropbox stuff going on over there or something, because your stream has been poopy today. Really?
I don't.
Oh,
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, we're good here. I'm gonna go ahead and start rolling on my audio.
Test 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Should I start?
Yeah, we're both frozen too.
Yeah, go ahead and start rolling. And
should I start the auto recording now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Go ahead and
totally.
start the recording, and then I don't know why they keep freezing today, but I'll just keep an eye on it. Matt
Okay,
Cameron.
I'm recording.
Claudio, it's been a while since we've actually had a live show. All of us, I guess. Me and Dave.
Yeah.
It's been since SIGGRAPH, right?
Of course.
Well, I mean, we had one last week, but you weren't here.
I wasn't here. No.
Yeah.
The
All right.
last week of summer.
Yeah. All right.
We know. We're on it. Don't worry, Gap Grant.
What's that? Oh, yeah, yeah. All right. I think we got it. I think we are good.
Like the Maxon hat. Gotta wear the hat because my hair looks terrible.
Yeah, mine too. Wait.
Ooh.
Try and do my best with my voice going here.
Nothing like having 8 emails right before you hop on, right?
I guess we're just going to have to wait.
You will have to wait.
Too bad. See, now you don't. Now, Matt, your headroom is like. Oh, okay. Never
I
mind.
know it's because I'm not get all comfortable yet. I'll get there.
You,
I'll get there.
you
Don't
need-
worry. I'll
you need
adjust.
Max headroom.
All
right.
Okay.
All right. We are all rolling, so I think we're good to go. Everything's live. Everything's good. I'm gonna listen to the audio real quick on my computer. Just make sure we sound all right. Say something, Matt.
Test 1 2 1 2 1 2. Test 1 2. You'll see my poor little dead plant. Look at that. Look how sad it is. It's so sad. My freaking dog ate it. It used to be like this high.
It's the oldest excuse in the book.
And
you
my
know
dog ate it. What?
Oldest excuse in the book.
Right.
I have the same problem here. My cat, we have a cat in the studio, and that plant is gone.
It looks like it's the same plant.
I know, it does look like the same plant.
Yes.
That's funny.
I could Photoshop in one into my green screen.
So I even bought a baby gate so my dog couldn't get in, right?
Oh yeah.
But my office is like a Jack and Jill bathroom, you know, so like if you go into the other room, you can get into this room through the bathroom. Well, my cat opened up that door and then let the dog into my room, my office, and then she just destroyed the plant.
The cat
and
let
she
the
couldn't
dog
figure
in.
out how. Yeah,
It's funny.
she couldn't figure out how to get out of my office. So I get home, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's totally destroyed. And she's just wagging her tail like she did nothing wrong.
So you
Jerk.
beat her.
Ah.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we getting chat messages? I don't feel like chat messages are coming through on the dingus.
Not through the restream, no.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, good. I always have to refresh it for some reason before it works the first time. But okay.
All right, let's do it.
All right. I think we are ready to go. The way we got to do a clap to sync this.
Yep.
So all three of us, I'll do 1, 2, 3, clap. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Sounds good. And then, okay, everybody's rolling. And then the way we'll do the intro is I'll say I'm Dave. Matt will say I'm Matt. Then he's going to introduce you and just give a quick hello. Nothing too long because I'm going to go right into a whole spiel after that. So just a quick hello is all you got to do there. And then we'll chat it up and have a bunch of fun. So make sure
Excellent.
I can see everybody make sure you can see your waveform or your recording things. And I think we'll be good to go. All right.
Do it.
All right. What's up and welcome to another Mograph Mocast. I'm Dave.
I'm Matt, and joining us all the way from Mexico City, our good friend Emiliano Topete.
Thank you for having me.
And Mograph is a supplement to our site, mograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other Mograph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. And you can email us, info@mograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show. Send in your questions about Cinema 4D, motion graphics, the industry. It can be technical, it can be business, doesn't matter if it's noob, if it's expert. We'll try and answer it the best that we can. So we'll try. Yeah, we'll try. So this week, we've got some random updates of things to do. Number one in the week update. Oh, did you know French Monkey? Apparently, he's got a new track. He dropped a new track,
yeah,
yo.
dude. Can we play it? Are we allowed to play it?
I don't know if we should. We'll wait and find out.
If he
We'll
shows up on
out.
chat, I'm gonna ask him.
Okay.
Yeah.
But apparently, that's actually isn't that what he actually does for a living? His music
I have no
and
idea.
does it on the side. I thought I heard
no
that.
idea.
Maybe I'm
I really don't know.
unless I'm thinking of somebody else. But also, I forgot.
Yeah, dude, that track is fire.
The track is fire, yo. And then I forgot to talk about this, I think, last week. Things were just all scrambled and different last week because you weren't here, Matt. And so
Sorry.
there's some stuff that I didn't do. There was a tweet from Insidium because, we're talking about R21. And they said, we know you want to hear our products will be compatible with Cinema 4D R21.
Yeah.
Insidium will be making an announcement by the end of August. So that's what we're waiting for. Sales and support will be unable to give more details at this time. We will share this information on social media and on our website.
Yeah. You know what I think would be cool?
GPU?
Like
GPU acceleration?
No, well,
I think
Yeah,
that's
that'd
what
be
it
great.
is.
I think
that's
this has
what it is.
something probably. I think it has something more to do with like licensing or something like that, you know. But
yeah.
what I would love to see, I would love to see X Particles kind of go its own route and become its own standalone app.
Why?
Like that would be cool.
Why would you
Because
not want to
then
be
you
in
could use
Cinema
it, like,
4D?
I'm saying it would be cool to like help out other people who are like in Maya or Houdini or something like that, like make its own standalone app. That might be kind of cool. I don't know.
Right. But they were not at SIGGRAPH, which I found surprising.
I don't think they're normally at SIGGRAPH.
Oh, they're not? Oh, okay.
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, maybe Bob will be on at some point during the show. We can get some insight.
Yeah, totally.
Because he's totally going to blow the cover, right? Yeah. I really, really hope it's GPU support. That would be fantastic. And I'd also like better support for motion blur, you know, with third-party apps and things like that. So
I'm sure. I bet you anything it has to do with licensing. You know.
Yeah. Because that is the question. You know, like, how do you handle that? You know, as far as like the new Cinema 4D, which, by the way, we better figure out what we're doing with our license before the end of the month. That needs to be on the agenda pretty soon. Because our other license isn't up until like April or something. So.
Yeah, I know, but like if you do the subscription, you can basically switch your MSA over and get credited that many months amount. I believe.
But you have to do it before it runs out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to figure that out.
I don't know. Like, go ahead.
Oh. Anyway, now I want to talk about Camp Mograph for a minute because there are a few tickets left.
Mograph.
If you're last minute, you're like, man, I should have gone to Camp Mograph. There are a few tickets left.
Yes.
You know, I think you've got most of the cabins basically full and planned out at this point.
I'm so pumped about this.
Yeah.
Like we were going through last week and like we had a whole Camp Mograph day, you know, where the four of us were just sitting around planning Camp Mograph stuff, putting stuff together. And I went through and we had a few people who had some really special requests on the cabins and stuff. So I wanted to make sure that I got everyone, you know, on there and assigned and stuff like that. We needed to find out who was going in what cabin and how much space we had left on the community cabin tickets, or if we had any, you know. So because of that, we do. So we've got a few extra tickets left for people who are still wanting to jump on last second. You got less than 3 weeks to get your tickets if you're going to get tickets.
September 6th.
But I am so pumped about this.
September 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the cabin assignments, we'll make sure that Gurnge is in the Otoy cabin, right?
Yes.
No.
He is definitely in the Octane cabin.
Yeah. That would be funny.
Yeah.
But there is a Camp Mograph song that was written for us, and it's about a minute and something long. We'll play that at the end of the show, but it'll be our sing along song for the camp, which will be hilarious. And I think it's pretty good. We'll have to do a version of this with the Follow the Bouncing Ball, you know, something like that, you know, so you can hear and see and like read all the lyrics and stuff. But let's see what else. Oh, and also Chris. Gosh, how do I pronounce this? Chris Deininger. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I recognize your avatar. I see it all the time. But he won the Bendy Limbs contest. And then, so I'll get that to EJ for Bendy Limbs. Emiliano, have you played with Bendy Limbs yet?
I have. EJ sent it to me. It's amazing. Very cool stuff.
Yeah.
And for character animation, it's like, especially the kind of animation that I like to do. It's
very squash and stretchy. You know. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. Yes, I've been sending some feedback to EJ, and but it's a great tool.
Yeah,
totally.
So we'll get that info to EJ, Chris, and they'll send you a link to that. Also, don't forget that our 200th episode is coming up pretty soon. So, you know, we did have some people when I first mentioned it send in some of their favorite moments, but I have failed to mention it again just for people who were thinking about it and forgot. But I dropped this in the Slack and haven't gotten anything back yet, unfortunately. But I put a Dropbox link in there, and I'll put this in the show notes, for favorite moments, and then like if you wanted to do a video message, like a hello or whatever. I know it's like kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Masturbatory.
I don't know.
But I don't want to do like I don't want it to sound
congratulatory.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
That
like,
would be a little bit of a better term.
I don't think, like, you know, it's we want to get messages. I mean, we have to put it out there if we want to get video messages. They're not going to show up by themselves, you know. So I don't want to, like, you know, toot our own horn, or so to speak. But I would like, you know, if you have something nice to say, send it in a video message. I'll put the Dropbox link in there, and so you can you know, send us a little thing. What we're going to do for the 200th, we're going to have David Aryev on, and we're going to talk about the last couple of years and what's happened, and thank everybody. And then we've got a bunch of fun outtakes that we're just going to play live on the show and laugh at ourselves a little bit. I think that'll be fun, and we'll read a couple of those messages and maybe play the videos if we get any. I don't know. So
this is basically our version of a clip show.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it is a clip show, but we'll kind of comment on it, so it won't be like too stale, I guess. You know, I would have loved to do like a whole bunch more stuff, big stuff, you know, whatever for the 200, but we just don't have the time. We're making that money.
Do you have
Getting
some
ready
of the
for camp and all that other stuff?
The outtakes and stuff that we did with the first Back in Time episode?
I'll go back and find some of those.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That one was rough to get through because we were laughing so hard.
Yeah. Raid Zero says it should be like the Christmas show. It will
See,
be
that's
like the
what
Christmas
I said.
show.
I said we should do some call-ins and stuff like that.
Yeah, we could probably
you
do
know?
that. We could do that. We'll do it live from Camp Mograph. We'll bring in the set from the Camp Mograph show again. We're going to do that at Christmas again, by the way. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a really fun one.
So we'll do that. Also, I did want to announce the 3dmotiontour.com. Check out 3dmotiontour.com. This is the Max on Road show. This is the official page for all of that. If you would like to check out if Maxon's going to be in your city. And we are going to be, we can announce this now, we are going to be doing a very small, like not a regular DFW C4D, but we're going to be doing a meetup in Dallas, a beer meetup with EJ. But first, there's going to be the Austin show, which should be on that agenda there. But if I look
September 4th, yeah.
My calendar, yeah. So September 4th, there's going to be the Austin one. And I think there's going to be a panel. And as of like 5 minutes ago, I think the two of us are going to be on that panel. And then, and then EJ is gonna road trip it up from Austin back to Dallas with us. And Thursday night, which would be what day is that? Is that I don't know, the 5th, right? The 5th.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a DFW C4D beer meetup, and it's just going to be strictly hang out, have beers, and talk. It's not going to be the typical meetup. We're gonna have another one of our big DFW C4D meetups in November. So we're going to announce, we'll put all that out there if you're local and you want to do tickets and all of that stuff. But if you want to go check out the Austin one, make sure you do 3dmotiontour.com and check that out. I don't know all the details about how you sign up. I haven't even had time to peruse the site yet. This is all new. So and what we'll be doing throughout as well, because we're a media sponsor, is we will be talking about the cities each week. So hopefully that'll be a good reminder to people who are in those cities where they're going. So it should be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Penny and Barton are speaking in Austin too. Did you know that?
I knew Penny. I didn't know Barton was going.
It says speakers in Austin, Barton Damer.
Well, we should ask if he wants to road trip it with us then.
Right.
Actually, no, we're going to need more than one
He's
car.
like, nah, I'm going to fly.
Oh yeah, probably.
I got that already been chewed money.
Right. And then lastly, for week wrap up, before we get into everything else in the show, you can tell I'm losing my voice. Hey, EJ's in the chat. What up, EJ? EJ's here. Sweet. All right, we're going to we're going to get into the meat of the show, but I did want to talk real quick, because you can tell I'm sick, about some character stuff. So I was trying to do this personal project, But I have been sick for like 2 freaking weeks, and it's driving me nuts because I took a vacation, of course, and was like down for the count, like super, super sick. And it's just not giving up. It's not going away. It has turned into like a voice thing or whatever. And, you know, like I said, last week Beeple gave me a deadline for my short I was going to do. And I was like all about it. I was like,
this is basically your big excuse and apology to people for not getting it done.
No,
right?
I'm still going to do it. I'm going to reschedule it and I'm going to redo it. But here's what I wanted to say about that is that I did design the characters for my short before I got sick. Or while I was getting sick, and I learned a lot of stuff about character rigging. I kind of had to click, you know, when it just goes off and you finally understand it. I just hadn't made myself do it enough to understand enough about weighting and skin and just all of that. And I feel like I have such a better handle on it now. And to the point where we had a project come in and I was able to easily like rig something myself instead of auto rigging it. And I did it all myself and I got it all working and I put together this little Pikachu, which, you know, is pretty sweet. We have a client that does YouTube videos, like funny, silly YouTube videos. You've probably seen some of the work before. If you peruse Facebook or something like that, you know? And so, I don't know, I felt really good about it. And, so at least I learned something by, you know, attempting to do my personal project. Mike, I will be rescheduling my thing for this fall because I will finish that project. It's just not possible. It was like I had 5 days to do it and they're gone. So, but the thing that I really enjoy working with this week as well is Delta Mush, which I don't think
Delta Mush is cool.
we haven't really talked about Delta Mush much. We haven't talked about Delta much. And it's kind of like, the way I describe it would be almost like a hyper smoothing for rigging and weighting. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. Yeah. Emiliano, have you tried Delta Mush?
I haven't.
It's so basically, you know, if you've got auto weighting or something, say you bring a character in from Mixamo and like, you know, an example that they show is like the arm, you know, moves up or something. You get this really nasty stretching or something like that. Then you throw Delta Mush on there and it just kind of smooths everything out. It's really interesting.
Iterations.
And it's free too.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Let me see. Delta Mush, because I feel like we should give
G-Rant says Tokyo Megaplex is like the ultimate Delta Mush pusher. I love it. It was it's really good.
It's Valkyrie.com and then Delta Mush. There's a free version. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I've gotten a better handle on, like, there's some weirdness when it comes to weighting and smoothing and adding and like whether or not you have the normalize button on or not, you know, that kind of thing. But you know, it's Delta Mush is pretty dope. Check it out. You know, it's free.
Yeah,
sounds very cool.
Yeah. So, all right. So, quickly before we get to our topics, I wanted to move to Ravcock. What's your flavor?
What's your flavor?
And just quickly say that there are rumors now that there will be some sort of beta of Pixel Plow for Octane coming soon, according to Mr. Plow at Seagraph. So we're waiting on that. That's super cool. Also, I'll put the link in the show notes. 2 different links here having to do with Octane number 1. Well, 3. Number 1 is Jules' Seagraph talk at NVIDIA is out now, and it talks about light fields, real-time ray tracing, and holographic displays. And also, there's a link here. Lightfield Lab has raised $28 million for their holographic displays. So I got a link to that. And then just another random link somebody posted in the Octane Facebook group this week. This is VFX Tools. This guy came out with a glassware pack of different types of glassware. if you're looking for
Okay.
that, and it's a Gumroad thing. So,
Not sure if you guys mentioned this last week. I hadn't listened to the show. But there was Octane for Blender was released for under the free tier.
oh yes,
So
I heard about that.
for
We didn't talk
those
about
wanting
that, but yeah.
for those wanting to try out Octane on Blender, there's now that new free tier which will let you try it out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, Emiliano, now we want to talk about you, all about you. Let's start with your background, because I'm very interested to hear more about your background and how you got into animation.
Yeah, like you're one of the few people, like there's a handful of people who do full-on character stuff in cinema, and you are definitely one of them. I feel like you're one of the most advanced of the people that I've met, at least, you know.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. And well, I I studied film production in Cuba, like back
wow.
back in 2004, and but of course this film production was more about screenwriting. Not at all. We didn't touch a single computer all through through college.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came back to Mexico, I found like film production in Mexico. I didn't like the projects at all. So I went into advertisement, and it was there that I found After Effects and Photoshop and Illustrator, and I fell in love with these tools, and I started doing motion graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And me and some friends, we were part of this big advertisement company in Mexico City, and we did a lot of motion graphics for like big brands here.
Mm-hmm.
And we had like a very good run using only 2D tools, like After Effects mainly. But then I like found myself needing to do something cooler and more complex.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I found Cinema 4D, and I started using it. And I've always up into that time in my life, I've always hated computers. And what was really cool is that I found that After Effects, Photoshop, all the Adobe suites was like very intuitive and fast and easy to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And what I felt when I first started using cinema is that it was that same very easy to learn tool. So I started using it, and I subscribed to Cineversity and started watching the tutorials, mainly for motion graphics. But then I became like very curious with character object tools. And I saw this tutorial called the Flavio tutorial. And it was a very, very long tutorial. It was like 5 or 6 hours long. And it was in German. I think it was crazy. No, there was like a translation in English, but
Spanish is your native language, right?
Exactly, Spanish.
So
is
you're
my
watching a German video being translated to English.
into English.
That's funny.
Into a 3D platform that you never used, so
right.
it was a challenge, definitely. But what I loved about that moment was that the tutorial showed you how to do a scene in 3D, all the way from modeling a trash can up to rigging a car, I think 4 characters, and doing lip sync, and all the way through lighting and rendering the scene.
Wow.
So I remember thinking, well, I don't need like a huge crew and all the things you need to do film production. I mean, I can just with my computer and with this program, I can do a movie by myself. And of course, I had to learn the hard way that this was, of course, not true. You of course need a big team of animators, but the notion of designing a production pipeline all within Cinema 4D is exactly what 12 years later we have here in the studio. So what we do is we model, we do the UV editing, we paint all our textures in body paint, and we rig. And for many years we used the character object for rigging, and of course we animate within Cinema, and we light and render with all the native renders of software.
Yeah.
So I mean, being in Mexico, there is no such thing as an animation industry, and our resources are always very limited. So having this tool to produce this kind of quality in animation is what I loved instantly, and this is what I've been doing. I founded this studio called Polygon 5 years ago in 2013. And when we first started, we were doing motion graphics and client work, but then we managed to go into character animation, into like telling stories, doing like short films and some mini series, and that is exactly what I wanted, because it was like really what when I first like went to college and go to film production, what I wanted to do was to tell stories and maybe to just put our voice as a Mexican culture, put our voice out there. And what I found incredible was that suddenly I was here and I could like do all this production and tell my story. And so it was back in 2016 that I decided to start writing and start drawing and to do my own characters and my own story. And this is Sally, the project that I've been working on. And so of course I draw very awfully. I don't know how to draw. But then I found I mean, what I like is 3D and movement. But a friend of mine from school, she was in Mexico. She had studied in Vancouver, in Vancouver Film School. She was back in Mexico, and she was the one that designed all the concept art for the series. And so we came into the studio. I started modeling like the characters, and we decided to do like this 1 minute animation of the character like waking up, and like just to show what we could do. And we went to a network here in Mexico and showed it. And they loved it, and so they decided to do like first season of a mini series.
Awesome.
That was amazing. That was last year. So last year we brought like a small team of animators here in the studio, and we managed to pull off a very good first season. What has been great about this is that, as I was telling you earlier, the animation industry in Mexico does not exist. But since 5 years ago, there have been more schools of animation that the level is every year going up and up. And so I went to these schools to teach what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when you're teaching, you, as you guys know, you tend to like learn a lot.
Yeah.
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 Right.
Fastest way to learn learn like a subject is to teach it to people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was amazing. And what was really cool also was that I got the chance to see and to recruit like very good people, like because of course you're like in this classroom and 20 people are very bored, but there's just like these couple of guys that are very excited, and you say, okay, you two come with me.
Yeah. That's funny.
So that's the way we recruited like a very good team of people that were not experimented enough in animation, but that had like all this passion and all this drive to do it and to learn it. And that's what I find that really made possible the things that we did last year.
Mm-hmm.
And
what was the name of the show?
Sally. That's Caly. And unfortunately, the network, with the change of government last year in Mexico, the network went like bankrupt almost, and they couldn't pick up a second season. So right now the project is not being transmitted in that network. And we are looking for a new network right now. So we're like going and knocking a lot of doors and showing what we have, because right now, of course, as you guys know, in 3D, you have all your assets ready. You have your characters, you have your layouts, you have like all your lighting ready. What is really amazing and I love about 3D is how fast you can produce once you have everything.
Right.
Because once we had all the project ready and rigged and ready to go, we were delivering every episode. They were 1 minute episodes, and we were delivering one every 2 weeks.
Wow,
so,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we were like only 3 animators and 1 layout artist, the art director and myself, and we were flying. It was very, very fast.
I mean, that's almost as fast as South Park does their episodes. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And that was like the idea. Producing inside of cinema allowed us to have a lot of speed and to have a lot of stability. I mean, all those years of using cinema for motion graphics had left me with a lot of knowledge of how the software actually worked.
Right.
And what I decided when I started doing the project was that I didn't want to use the character object. I mean, the character object was very, very cool for other kind of things. Like if suddenly we have a client for advertisement, and we have to deliver a certain piece in, I don't know, 4 or 6 weeks, and there's just like 1 or maybe 2 characters in the project, the character object is amazing.
Yeah.
But this wasn't the case. This was like a whole new monster, because we wanted to have complete control over every single aspect of the project.
Right.
And as you guys know, rigging is like all the right. So every single object, every single generator, deformer in the object manager, it had to be there because it had to be there. And so what we did is that we decided to analyze and study deeply the character object. And this was amazing. Back in 2013, I had the chance to have this conversation with Brett Bass.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the one that told me like everything that the character object had under the hood.
Right.
Okay.
Because you can open it up and you can see it. You can see what's under it if you change the settings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You go to the character object, and in the attributes manager, there's a tab that's I think display.
Mm-hmm.
And under display, you have I think managers, and you can switch from components to full hierarchy.
Yeah.
And that way, you can see how they built all the character object. And this was amazing because it allowed us to study it and to decipher how Brett built like this amazing way of rigging.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the last couple of years, I've been like very carefully like trying to understand what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still like, the very cool thing about rigging is that you never end. You can never say, okay, so this is for many years, I've told my students, okay, so I have the best rig in the world. This rig will never be, there will never be a better rig than this.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, 6 months later, I say the same thing. And 6 months later, I say the same thing. So that's the thing, that there's always something new. And of course, cinema is always designing and doing like better generators or better deformations and better improving on some managers and commands. So this thing, it's beautiful because it never ends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so for the last couple of years, I've been like studying how does the arm of the character object work, and trying to make a very simple version of that rig. And a simple version, because what we found is that once we have like a lot of characters in a scene that are rigged with the character object, our computers can like start to slow down. So we decided like to go for our own rigs and to build rigs that were like the character object in every aspect of their capacity in terms of reaching everything, having IK system and switching from IK systems to FK systems, having like rubber hose in the arms and the legs. Everything that you need for character animation had to be there, but it had to be very light. It had to be a light version, because of course we don't have like that much computer power. So it had to be light enough for any computer to allow the animator to have a very smooth navigation. Because of course what I love about animation is before we were talking about the curves in the timeline.
Yeah. Before the show.
Before the show. Yeah.
And you're not going to believe this, but I haven't struggled with curves in my kind of animation, because I do frame by frame animation in Cinema 4D.
Oh yeah. Man.
And this sounds crazy, and it sounds like a lot of time, but what I feel, what I think is, once you learn and understand how the principles of animation work, timing and spacing, then in 3D you can move very fastly. Just like you build your pose, you want to go from pose A to pose B, And once you have those two poses built, like in 3D, just you have to do your timing, especially your spacing, and you can do this frame by frame in seconds. So I know that saying that I do frame by frame animation, it sounds crazy and time consuming.
It does, yeah.
But I found that it was faster than going into the curves and trying to understand them and to work with them and seeing how they are moving the character.
Gotcha.
Because once you have control of that spacing, you don't need that. So we started like moving very, very fast. And these are things that people do in 2D animation. But what I believe is that few people in 3D animation actually know how to do this.
So you're telling me that you'll basically go from pose to pose and then do keyframes every single frame in between to make sure that the animation is right?
Exactly.
That's rad.
Yeah,
that's cool.
What you do is, and what we have found is that, especially in Europe, a lot of studios deciphered like new formulas and new principles for 3D animation. So, for example, in 2D animation, you would need like 9 frames to go from one pose to another.
Is this in a 24 frame animation, like a classic 24, or is this in a 30?
Exactly.
Okay.
No, this would be in a 24 animation.
Okay.
But then what these guys in Spain and France figured out was that you really didn't need those 8 or 9 frames to go from one pose to another. You could only just have like one little like anticipation and an ease out in one frame, a second ease out, and a stop in the second pose. And just with 5 or 6 frames, you could move with believability your character from one pose to another. And this comes directly from people who have been working a lot in this kind of 90s cartoon, like Gendy Tartakovsky cartoon kind of thing, like Samurai Jack kind of thing.
Yeah.
The way they move, the movements are very simple. And once you get that principle into your bloodstream, you can apply it very, very fast into animation. So that's what we've been doing. We've been producing very, very fast.
Where did you? So it's very interesting to me that you started out in just Mograph and then moved over to character design and stuff like that. That you went for video, kind of, and are there any in particular places that you were like you learned a lot of your like animation principles and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? Because animating Mograph is a little bit different than some of your character animation principles and stuff, While there is some overlap, they're totally different beasts.
Yes. Well, I was self-taught in animation. I must have seen thousands of tutorials. I don't know, in university and whatever I could find. But of course, this was all about Mograph, about motion graphics, because you can find like amazing and a lot of tutorials about motion graphics, like in a lot of places. But when you want to go to character animation, it's very hard to find tutorials, especially when you want to see animation tutorials, like to know the principles, to know just animation, not rigging, because if you type, if you want to see a tutorial of animation in 3D, what you will find are rigging tutorials.
Right.
But what I found that there were almost no tutorials about was animation itself, like how to animate and how to animate in 3D. So I just found like a couple of tutorials since university, maybe like other tutorials I found in Linda. But then what I did to learn animation is actually buy the Animator Survival Kit of Richard Williams.
I just brought that up on my computer because I was going to say it's interesting that we're talking about this week because Richard Williams just passed away this past weweek.
Exactly.
Oh, really?
No,
yeah.
He passed away on Saturday, right? And no, it's well, this guy Richard Williams, he gave his life to this art form, and his work was only not to do very beautiful things, but what was like what we have to acknowledge in this moment is that he took seriously that he wanted a lot of people to learn. He wanted to teach this art form to a lot of people. And cases like mine, I mean, thanks to his book, I can do all this stuff. Because just once you learn these things, I
have not met a person in our industry who does not talk about this book.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This was one of the very first animation books that I picked up as well. And it was when I was just looking to get into animation. Like this was the go-to book.
And so many people have a copy of it sitting, on the coffee table or wherever.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is the book that I found, and it's just everything that I needed to get myself going. And it was funny because I was telling you earlier that there are these two schools of animation here in Mexico City, and one of them sends here to the studio some students to do their internship. And for the past 2 weeks, I told them that we were going to see the masterclass that Richard Williams gave in Pixar. I think it was in Pixar. There's a masterclass that I found online, and he shows. I think there are like 16 DVDs, 16 classes of all the book, but you can see all the exercises that are drawn in the book. You can see them moving. So I really recommend everyone to have these 16 DVDs. They are amazing. Wow. And and they're watching right now a class as we speak on takes. And
cool.
I really recommend it. Is a great masterclass. And so that was how I actually did it, just by learning and studying this book, and maybe also like analyzing, like frame by frame, a lot of animation that I liked. Like I was telling earlier about Genndy Tartakovsky. Maybe he is like the guru for me in terms of animation, and what I do is just stop the sequence and just go frame by frame understanding what he asks his animators to do. And like watching a lot of making ofs of his movies of Hotel Transylvania, because of course the rigs of this movie are amazing. I don't know if you guys have seen, there are like a couple of links of this making ofs of Hotel Transylvania, and you can see how they are rigged. And
Yeah,
it's amazing. It is amazing. If you put Hotel Transylvania rigging or making of, you will see how these 3D animators had like this big challenge of having a 2D animator in front of them that was asking them to reach very extreme poses. And of course, when you are a 2D animator, the only thing that you have to do is you have to draw it with your pencil in a piece of paper. But as a 3D animator, they had to go through very cool stuff in 3D. And so what I've been doing inside of cinema is trying to do that exact same thing with my characters. And for example, earlier you guys were talking about motion blur and
smearing.
Yeah. That kind of smearing in 3D would be amazing because exactly.
The Simpsons do a lot of it, actually. They do a lot of smearing.
Yeah, no, the Simpsons
I
were
love that he's got 3 legs.
Yeah, exactly. And we have done this kind of things in our character animation stuff. But what I wanted to tell you was that in cinema, for example, there's this deformer called the camera deformer. So you can have your character, and of course the character is moving with a skin deformer. But below the skin deformer, you can add any deformers you want. And so, for example, if you wanted to make a smear, we found that we could put a camera deformer below the skin deformer, and we could do very crazy stuff with this. Yeah, we could do smearing.
EJ has a tutorial on it where he's got one of his little characters swinging an axe or a hammer or something, and he talks about it. It's really cool. It's like if you
there's a whole like imager thing like devoted to smears, which is great.
So think about it this way. That I've noticed is with the camera deformer or whatever. Think about it like a displacement map, or maybe not a displacement map, but like a displacement grid. You know, like in After Effects or something. It basically creates this grid, and you can grab the individual points and move them however you'd like in order to create this smear of your animation. It's very cool. It's very, very cool.
Apparently Overwatch does this too in their gaming, which is interesting.
Really?
It's an interesting concept to have smearing in a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Let me see if I can send you a clip that we did, an example of smearing very quickly. But what I was also trying to, we did, let me see if I can get you through the chat, this guy over here.
And this is on one of your pieces?
Yeah, this is one of the pieces we did for the miniseries last year. It was a miniseries, very, very cool stuff because, in 1968, the Olympic Games, the Summer Olympic Games, were held in Mexico City. And so last year, it was the 50th anniversary of the event. So a lot of things were made to celebrate this. And this was our effort to like remember or tell the new generation of kids about this event, because very, very cool things happened. Like, for example, this is a clip from when your team, the United States team, won the 100-meter men's final. And this was this moment where Jim Hines stepped into the podium with his black glove and made this protest. And of course, nobody in Mexico knew about this, and nobody knew what this meant. But he set an example of courage and of bravery. And in Mexico, he's remembered with this great love that people found for this amazing, brave act. And all these kind of stories that, of course, children now in 50 years from 1968 don't know about. We made this series to remember all those anecdotes. And but what I wanted to tell you specifically about the technical stuff of that specific piece that we did is that there's this moment that one of the characters is about to run, and then when she runs, there's this frame where she just pulls a smear, and this we did in Cinema 4D. We did the animation, of course, but then we went to After Effects and we just made this frame. The next frame is just
yeah, it's hard to get to the next frame.
Yeah. Freaking Windows, let me tell you. Now I'll try and open it in another. I'll open it in another program or something. I'll pull it up in a second. But
excellent.
Yeah.
No, but what I was telling you is that it's just this PNG done in Photoshop, and we composed it on a layer on top of the animation, and that's the way we found that we could get away with smearing.
Yeah, a pot player is always really good for this. I think you can do frame by frame on pot player, so I'll try and bring it up here. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the just watching over this little clip that you sent. I love the mix of 2D looking stuff with 3D, like when the character's passing the other character and he spins around in a tornado thing,
Yeah.
Was that done in cinema, or was that done in After Effects, or?
No, this was it was a combination of 3 programs. Cinema 4D for the animation of the characters, Photoshop for the animation of in that case, of the whirlwind, of the tornado, and those 2 animations were composed inside of After Effects.
That's cool. That's super cool.
Yeah, and I love it. This kind of things that just bind together the 3D and the 2D world. I love them. And smearing, I've always thought that is the way of 2D animation telling 3D, okay, you cannot pass this line. I was reading Ed Catmull's book, Creativity Inc. And there's this story that when they are bought by Disney, when Pixar is bought by Disney, Ed Catmull and John Lasseter have this idea of making the Disney studios completely for 2D animation and leaving Pixar for 3D animation. And so that's why they do The Princess and the Toad. They want to take these old school animators and do this very cool. Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Okay.
Man, you think it'd be easy to find a program that can do frame by frame, but if it were Mac, it would just happen really quick in QuickTime. But I had to open 3 programs to get this to come up. But yeah, that's cool.
Right there where you have is this smear, and it gives animation like this feeling, incredible feeling of movement. It's you can just feel it, but it just gives the project a lot of quality. And so what I was telling you is that The Princess and the Toad was not what they expected it was going to be. Like, it was almost a failure when it came to cinema presentations worldwide. And so they thought, well, maybe 2D is dead and we have to just concentrate on 3D. And so what I think is that since then, they just went into Frozen, and Frozen, of course, was this big success. And they said, okay, of course, we're just going to focus on doing 3D animation. And I thought, I love 3D animation, but I as well love 2D animation. And I remember thinking, well, maybe 2D animation is dead. But then something happened. In 2015, I was in the animation festival in Annecy in France. And they showed this movie called Dofus, the Book of Juliet. Well, the movie is based in a game. The name of the game is Dofus, Dofus. And the movie is the Book of Juliet. And when I saw this movie, it blew my mind. And it was like 2D is not dead. You have to see this movie. It's like a love letter to the animation. Exactly, that's the one.
Oh, beautiful.
It's beautiful, and
looks very Studio Ghibli.
Exactly, it's like this way that French animation has always like being very connected to Japanese animation. And what they do in this movie is a lot of smearing and basically like the aesthetic. And it's what I find suddenly with 3D animation is that animation allows your wildest imagination to be possible. But I feel sometimes that a lot of 3D movies, 3D animation movies, are not exploiting this as they could.
Original 2D animation principles and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because that's the thing with, I don't like realistic animation, because then I say, well, you could just like grab a camera and do it, and you wouldn't have to be 24 frames by second suffering at 2 o'clock in the morning, right?
Right.
But if you are doing animation, you can go like very wild. This is, for example, what happened to me when I saw Inception, right? Inception was this movie about the dream world, and well, they had to do like something very wild, because they were dreams, and in dreams anything can be possible. And suddenly the movie was just chatting inside of a hotel, and I love the movie, it's amazing, but I think that they could have done something very like mind-blowing. And this happens to me in animation, in a lot of recent Pixar movies, maybe a lot of Pixar movies. I love like the Pixar movies from the 90s. And those kind of movies, I think that they do talk about this amazing worlds. And but recently I feel that 3D animation is not pushing enough to what animation can actually take you to. And this is what I want to do with Polygon and with my career and my legacy as an animator. What I want to do is to push this beautiful art form into other possibilities. This is what I feel that someone like Richard Williams wanted, and Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson, and all these amazing guys that have been part of this 80 years of this new art form that is very, very beautiful. And they deserve for us as a generation to understand and to learn what their legacy means to us and to contribute to the future of animation.
So where do you think the future of animation is going? Besides the obligatory, the Disney 3D movies that are kind of like, I don't want to say a dime a dozen. I mean, they work very hard on them, but again, like you said, some of the things could just be video. The really, really, I mean, there's so many, especially now. Like you go on Netflix, if you have kids, there's just so many animations, and you look at them, and some of them are done so cheap, and some, they're just running through them just to get them out, just to make a buck. But as far as like the future of like good animation, the ones that are going to be the classics, 50 years from now, where do you see that's going?
Well, I hope what I think is this. Back like in 2010, I was working in a big network in Mexico, and we had a very cool project that allowed us as animators to experiment with the three kinds of animation. So we could do spots made entirely in 2D animation, we could do spots in stop motion, and we could do 3D animation. So it was this moment for me that I realized how beautiful and incredible are the three possibilities of animating. But of the three possibilities, I found that 3D animation was, for me, the best, because it was fastest, and the costs, surprisingly for us, the costs were not as high as the others. Because and what I mean by costs is not actually just money, but whenever we wanted to do something in stop motion, we were always like working up until 5 o'clock in the morning. We had to go every weekend. And when we wanted to do something in traditional 2D animation, it was the same thing. It was very, a lot of people, a lot of work. And suddenly I find like the way of doing these things in 3D, because I remembered, of course, like some years ago, I was using this amazing tool, like very fast tool to do motion graphics. So maybe this same tool is fast enough to do character animation. And of course, this was completely right. Once I started like using Cinema 4D for 3D animation, I proposed it to the network. And whenever we did a spot in 3D animation in Cinema 4D, everybody in the production was in their homes at 6 o'clock. And nobody had to go in the weekends to work, and everything was smooth. The pipeline was stable. So for the future of animation, I think that stop motion, 2D and 3D will never die. The three ways of animating are amazing as themselves. It's not a competition. It's just a medium to tell a story. No one is better than the other. But for people like me in Mexico, I find that 3D animation really is the way that we can achieve animation easily and effectively, and with the resources that we have. So what I find very important about this is that animation is something that has been done mostly by American culture, French culture, Japanese culture, no? Like just few cultures and countries have actually deciphered a way of doing animation. But what I find very important about cinema and 3D animation is that suddenly you can have the resources to do animation in a country like Mexico, or, for example, now that I did my SIGGRAPH presentation, a lot of people from not only Latin America but from Africa have been contacting me and like saying, okay, this is amazing. And this is very cool because what I think would be very good for the future is if we can listen to stories from someone in Tanzania and someone in Kuala Lumpur and someone from Mexico City, because it just gives you like this sense of what people are living in other parts of the world. And this cultural like give and take that animation and movies can do can result in this world where we can respect our differences, but we can celebrate what binds us together. Because for me, my favorite movie is a movie made in Japan, which is Spirited Away. So that movie just like grabs my soul, and it's amazing that it's something that it was done like thousands of miles from Mexico City. And this is what I find beautiful about film production and about animation. So I hope that the future of animation is this like very diverse world of getting to know like other cultures, other voices.
For sure.
And of course, like making the tools, now that the tools are available, this can be possible.
Totally.
And
I agree with you.
It's interesting too. I feel like if you're getting into character animation too, if you have the opportunity to do classic animation, whether that's stop motion or even drawing frame by frame, it gives you a great appreciation for it. I remember growing up, I would do stop motion with my Ninja Turtles, and,
Same here. Yeah.
and micro machines. It was great. My brother and I would take micro machines and just make them do these crazy like animations of like hundreds of micro machines, and each one you move them frame by frame. You get such a great appreciation for that. And when I was gosh, I don't know how old I was, but I had just started my own video company, and this is like
when you were 10,
right?
You started your own.
No,
video
it was
company
like 2002 or 2003, and one of the first gigs we got was a local pet shop, and they wanted an animation, and we didn't have the resources to do it yet. I mean, it was still early days of digital. We did digitize it, but we still drew everything, frame by frame. I actually have like a little clip, and you can see here, like this little thing was like drawn frame by frame for Man's Best Friend, and which is a local dog training place. Man, it just gives you
dog trading place.
Training.
Training.
Sorry, I'm still losing my voice. No, but gosh, what an appreciation for like how hard it is to do that stuff. You know, I mean, we barely did any. We reused a lot of animation throughout, you know, for that. But man, if you are getting into it, it's so worth it just to try it. And even if you do a flip book or something, you know, just to see what it's like, I think it gives you such a great understanding.
Yeah, and
Totally.
the thing is that once you just buy the animator survival kit, start reading it, and start understanding how animation works, then a lot of people that do have like that background, of course, are usually in 2D animation. But what I feel for the future of animation is that a lot of people that have this book can go to 3D animation and apply these principles to 3D. Because you were saying earlier about these shows in Netflix for kids that move awfully and like are very cheap. And what I think is that these animators like understand 3D, but they don't understand animation. And it's once you understand animation and you put it inside of 3D, that's for me what is going to be amazing. One anecdote I wanted to tell you guys is I was invited to SIGGRAPH in 2012. And I remember like that Gendy Tartakovsky would be there, and I was so thrilled and excited to see his conference. And he was going to talk about this new film that he was going to direct called Hotel Transylvania. And I was very excited because I thought, well, this guy understands animation perfectly. So he's going to put all of his animation knowledge into 3D, and this will blow like out of proportion the 3D animation world. And then I saw Hotel Transylvania, and I remember thinking, well, you know, it was okay, but nothing amazing. So the years passed, and then last year, Hotel Transylvania 3 shows up. And when I saw Hotel Transylvania 3, like the way that Dracula dances, I thought, okay, these guys are taking animation to another level. And that's what happened. They were people that knew and that had grown as animators, and then they were applying all the things that they knew into a 3D tools. And I mean, when I saw Hotel Transylvania 3, I have never seen animation move like that.
I don't know that I think I've seen parts of 3.
I've seen all 3 of them. They're good. They're good movies. You know, I think, you know, talking about pushing animation into new like realms and stuff like that. I really think Spider-Verse had like a huge, big influence on all of us. You know, within this industry on animation, because they did things that not only were very similar to 2D animation, but were kind of that was very different for animation in general. Like one example is when Miles and Peter Parker are like flying through the forest or something like that. Miles was animated at 12 frames per second versus Peter was at 24 frames per second, to kind of show a lack of skills and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the thing about Spider-Verse is I felt in SIGGRAPH that there's this balance that we have to do, I think, between the things that are very fast and very easy, and the things that can't be fast and easy. Because what I believe that has to be fast and easy is a platform, and that's Cinema 4D. Cinema 4D is like these tools that will be very fast, very easy to use, so that you can go to the part where you don't want to go to this fast and easy paradigm, but you want to go like into this very quality and control paradigm, which is art. Art really needs to have time. It's a slow cook. So that's what I think that has to be just understood as 3D animators, that all the pipeline and all the tools have to work like this. But once you are in the animation production, you have to have like this flow that an artist needs, and you have to give your animation time to grow and to be better. And you can spend a lot of hours like in very minuscule details, but those details are the ones that give you quality.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Now your presentation, of course, there's the live archive from SIGGRAPH. Has yours been posted individually yet? I'm not sure.
Yes,
it has.
It was posted on last Friday.
3 days ago. Okay, yeah, on the 16th. I see here. Now is that both of them too? Because you did it English and Spanish.
No, they only posted the Spanish one. I'm sorry, the English one.
The English one. Okay.
They haven't posted the Spanish one, but I'm looking forward to that reaction in Latin America to see what happens.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. So I got some links I wanted to go to real quick here. And one of them, of course, is related to character rigging, which is the Mixamo control rig that's going to be in R21. I can't remember if I talked about this last week or not, but there's a few tutorials on it already. But I was sitting there messing with it for hours trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. And apparently Mixamo stuff, when it exports, does this weird thing with the take system.
Takes. Yeah.
And stuff will be grayed out. And I'm like, why is it grayed out? And it's because, when you do takes, certain things will gray out and, depending on what you're doing. And so that's what it was. You actually have to go in and like go back to the original take.
Yeah.
But I will post a link to that in the show notes if you're interested in seeing how that's going to work.
Here's something interesting that maybe people didn't know, and I learned this because I was dealing with this same issue when playing with it at SIGGRAPH. When you bring in, so if you've got so you bring in the character from Mixamo, and it's already got a take put on it, which is weird. So if you go to that take, and this will work with any take that you've got, if you have the ability to take that individual take and convert it into its own project, which is super cool. I can't remember the exact thing. It's in one of the drop downs where it's basically make this its own standalone project, which is super cool in case you ever want to just animate from one specific take,
Well, it's something that wasn't really talked about that much at SIGGRAPH, and I feel like it's a big thing, the Mixamo rig. Within R21, and I think there's a lot of stuff you're going to see coming out that people haven't really talked about yet with R21. I mean, including the interface. The interface looks great.
It's beautiful.
There's a really great screenshot that Sean Astrom posted, I think yesterday. It's not just like the redesign, but the fact that you get the higher resolution and everything.
Oh yeah,
there's so much.
Looking at it on a high res screen, like on my 4K Razer laptop.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. So beautiful.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention is Raid Zero has his car paint shaders now out for Redshift.
Yeah.
So we'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. You can check that out. But we're going to do a little segment here that we haven't done in a while. called Beeple's People.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna take that opportunity to go to the restroom.
Matt always goes to the restroom at that
Yeah.
point. So, Beeple's People is a segment we do weekly or almost weekly, where we analyze Beeple's work, and we come up with a funny story or background behind it. So take out your Beeple viewer of choice. For me, that's usually Twitter, but for some reason, I don't know why it didn't get posted. But if you go to the first one I'm going to bring up is actually on his Facebook page. But I'll bring it up on the screen for everybody to see too, for people who are watching the stream. Now he did one at SIGGRAPH. And he did it live, and Matt was kind of his backup person. And if you watched that, that was really hilarious. Let's see. The date for that is going to be July 31st, year of our Lord 2019. And the name of this one is called David Babs Crabs. And I think this would be funny to go back and do live on the show. Because it's let's see, it's the one that he did there live. So all right, 7/31/19. This is David Babs Crabs, and oh yeah, I should bring it up on the screen. There we go. So hopefully Matt will be back here in a second. And the funny thing about this is, obviously, this is Paul Babb, who scanned his face. I scanned your face too at the.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have.
And so this one is fun just because we saw it done live and all of that. So we sent him the 3D model of Paul Babb's head, and then of course, accidentally in the middle of everything, he accidentally pasted David Brodeur's face into the Photoshop file. So he left that in and made David Brodeur the sun. But I thought it would be funny to figure out, since
David Babs Crabs, eh?
Yeah. I thought it would be fun to figure out a way to bring this into the Beepleverse, since we were there and saw this one happen.
Gosh, this was so ridiculous to do. It was so funny. Like when he copied and pasted Brodeur's face in there. Oh man, that was so good.
Yeah.
That was it was like serendipitously stupid.
So I guess the question, like Matt, like why is Paul Babb now in the Beepleverse?
Well, that's just another world where Paul Babb's head apparently. So like you can have like think of like diamonds and stuff like that. Diamonds are made within the earth and stuff like that by certain chemical processes.
All right.
This is basically what happens to the rocks on this planet. They form Paul Babb heads.
Oh. Okay then.
Right. That's how those rocks
just by
are
accident.
formed, right?
But why is the sun David Brodeur?
I don't know. Because this is just in a world where the sun comes up, for what, 12 hours a day or something? You show me what you got.
It's show me what you got, Brodeur.
Yeah, right?
So he's saying show me what you got, and then like the animators of the planet have to show what they've got.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good. I don't know if there's any more we can do on that. Anyway, I'm going to bring up my main Beeple viewer choice, since that wasn't on Twitter. And he missed a couple on Twitter. I don't understand why, but the next one is going to be August 8th, and that's going to be Buzz Light Weapon. And I chose this one because...
Okay, here's a question. Did you see the Instagram story that Mograph memes did?
Yes.
With people?
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh man, it was so funny. So basically, it's one of those where it's like nobody, and then it says Beeple, and it's a picture of Beeple holding like two Pixar toys together or something. Like, I don't know. It was funny. I thought it was pretty funny.
I screen capped it. I don't know.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I don't know if I have it. I'll try and find it. Let's start talking about this one, and I'll see if I can find it. So this is Buzz Light weapon, and I find this interesting because this is after the conversation that we had at Seagrath, and so I do notice that there are attachments on the nipples. So this is maybe the same model. Timeline wise, this could be before or after the milking.
Maybe, yeah.
It's hard to say. But
perhaps on this planet, Buzz Lightyear is is either seen as an enemy or seen as almost like a god or something like that. So they slap Buzz Lightyear's face on everything.
Well, it is a weapon,
right?
And
or maybe like I don't know. So remember in Demolition Man when there was the fast food wars and the only one that came out was Taco Bell's? That the one that came out was was Taco Bell. So they have all these like famous like Taco Bell restaurants and fancy Taco Bell restaurants. Maybe this is what happened in this world. Buzz Lightyear somehow like won the overall like toy war or something like that, and then became a symbol of like safety and protection for everyone else.
Interesting. I feel like it's
theory.
Just so convoluted and it's so far in the future that like the original meaning is gone. Like I don't even like maybe nobody even knows. I think
the original Buzz Lightyear one, it was just a planet full of Buzz Lightyear heads.
Well, I mean, like, think about it like
in
Easter
this universe,
Island.
They're using all right.
Yeah, like you don't know what that head was. I mean, it could have been, just a children's story. I don't know. Do we even know where the heads on Easter Island are from? Like what they symbolize?
I don't know.
Or do we know? I mean, it could be something like that. I don't know. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Buzz Conqueror of Worlds, is that someone else?
What?
Yeah, there's a bunch of Buzz Lightyear head ones that he's done.
Oh yeah, he's done a bunch of them.
Buzz Lightyear Beeple, and you'll see a ton of them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to find 8. Let's see. I gotta find I saved that file today. No, when did I save that?
Infinity and Beyond, I think, was the first one he did.
Infinity and Beyond?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is this one? Did I get the right one? 8-1. Here we go. Okay, check it out.
Did you see Buzz Meat-Ear?
Yeah, at some point. So this is like a capture of a capture of a capture, but it says nobody. It says nothing. Absolutely not a single soul. It says nothing. And then Beeple, and he's got all of his toys. And like one of them is like Woody with the Trump head, and then who's the
that's Jesse.
Jesse
with a Hillary head. Yeah.
With Hillary.
It's funny.
Yeah, and then he's got like hashtag conspiracy theory, hashtag truth.
I'm glad you were able to screen cap that.
Yeah, I see. I had to screen cap it. I was like, we got to save this for later. And then lastly, the last one we're going to look at is August 14th. This is Clint Trump the Destroyer. Clint Trump the Destroyer. I went to what's his name?
Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan's page yesterday because I was watching the Bernie Sanders stuff, and I went back and watched the Beeple one again because that was funny. But this one, Clint Trump the Destroyer. The whole, I love it's like the whole statement thing.
I think one day he is going to run across this, or someone's going to say it, and it's just going to piss him off,
No, let's hope so. I think it's also, I don't know, you could also make the statement with these is just like all politicians are the same, that whole thing, like Trump's just inside Hillary.
I don't know. I think Trump is very far from a politician. He's
Well, true.
a politician in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, Tokyo Megaplex says get Beeple on Joe Rogan. That's what I was thinking yesterday when I was watching that. I was like, he needs to like get him on the show or something. That would be hilarious. Because he's going to ask him all those deep questions again. And he's, you know, like, well, what were you thinking? When you just, what was that? I don't know. Yeah, that'd be great. So, all right, I got 2 emails, and then we want to do Mograph recommends. Number 1 email, this is from Travis, and I found this today, and I was like, I can't remember if we did this or not, because there was a lot of stuff going on right before SIGGRAPH, and I don't think we addressed this, so if not, we'll just address it again, I guess. And this email is from Travis. It says, "Sup guys, I've got an interesting question that I've been dealing with a lot lately, and would love to know what you think about how to handle this. So I've been getting hit up a lot for Mograph work lately, and the client wants me to concept, storyboard, and animate the whole project. They usually have some creative direction, but they leave a lot of the concepting stuff up to me. I've been struggling to figure out what level of concepting I should do before they agree to the price. Some clients want me to do a whole storyboard before they commit to the budget. Some are okay with just a style breakdown prior to pricing. What do you think the best way is to go about making sure I don't do too much work on concepting with the project before I get approval on the budget? What's your all's experience with the situation? We'd love to hear your thoughts."
Doing a full storyboard before you even agree on a budget or something like that, I think that's a little much.
Well, storyboards
you know?
should cost money.
Yeah,
for sure.
Totally.
Strawberries? Storyboards? Man, I am not well. Storyboards should cost money, and that's really all there is to it. I mean, like, sometimes we put together like some real simple, you know, boards based on like similar artwork or things that the client liked and said, here's kind of how we're going to do it. Something that you could do really quick to get the gig, you know? But like, I don't think anybody should be expecting a full storyboard for free, because they could just take that and then take it to another company. Be like, oh, here's this free storyboard we got. Can you animate this? You know, I think it's really important that you tell people, okay, you know, even if you don't go with me for this project, I'm still gonna have to charge you to build this storyboard. Travis says in the chat, actually, I never storyboard beforehand, but I'm wondering if you ever run into the issue and maybe just price the storyboard out separately. Yeah, absolutely.
You can, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, and the thing about being an animator or being in our industry is sometimes you do the concepting for something like that, and sometimes you do the writing or the scripting, and sometimes you don't. You know, I think it's important to specify, because sometimes clients who are very, very noob, you know, like somebody who called me the other day, they had no idea where to start, right? Like, absolutely, it's a new company, no idea where to start. They need a company to be able to write a script and help them promote and sell, do that whole creative side, and then animate it. And some people don't need that. A lot of companies like to write their own copy, you know, or they have somebody internally who's going to write that script for you. But I think it's important to tell people ahead of time, look, I'm doing this work. It's not easy work. Doing a storyboard is a lot of work, you know, especially if you're going to sketch it out, you know, or you're going to, a lot of times you hire somebody. And a technique that we use on that approach sometimes is we have illustrators. You know, Matt and I aren't exactly like the best illustrators in the world, you know, when it comes to like either hand drawing or, you know, doing something in maybe Illustrator. And so we'll actually hire somebody to do the storyboards in Illustrator, and then we can actually just take those storyboards if the client likes them and convert them into the animation. You know, which is great because it's just, you can just take the vector files and start working with it. So hopefully that answers the question a little bit. Tokyo says we should get Joe Rogan on the Mograph podcast.
The Mograph.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. What would we talk about? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Other email that we have here is from Oliver King. He sends a link and says, I don't know if this is common knowledge already, but these AI up-resing services are getting better and better, and they're miracles for up-resing 3D model textures. He said, I downloaded a free model from TurboSquid with a 512 by 512 texture and made it 2K with a free service called let'senhance.io, and it's perfect. Astounding. Anyway, I wanted to put that out there for anyone in a pinch. I think that's something that you come across a lot on sites like TurboSquid. You download a model that you need for something and you get the texture and it's not that good. Either it was made for a video game or,
Right.
you know, it's something where it was okay for standard render, but like you kind of want to take those textures and maybe bring them into Substance and create normal maps for them and kind of, you know, spruce them up a little bit before you go into Octane or Redshift or one of those.
For sure, yeah.
So that's a good link to have there. Let'senhance.io. So, all right. So now we're going to move to Mograph Recommends. And Emiliano, we're going to ask you some questions and see what your answers are here. We're going to ask you, first of all, what is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Spirited Away by Hayao Miyazaki.
Yeah. And then music. What do you like to listen to?
I have a very large range of music, but I would have to say that my favorite, I don't know if it's my favorite group, but definitely my favorite album is Plans by Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh, nice. What about, do you listen to music like that while you're animating? Do you like silence? You know?
That's a very good question because it has been a huge problem, an issue in the studio. Well, I don't know if you guys do this, but ever since I was in animation, in motion graphics back in 2004, I always had to listen to music.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, many years later, I started reading the Animator Survival Kit, and the book says, okay, rule number 1, unplug. And I was like, I can't do this. I need to have music because I am going to be sitting here for hours, and if I don't have music, I am going to die. And so I didn't care for this recommendation of Richard Williams. But then one day I started doing it. I just went into silence and started animating in silence. And yes, I mean, animation was better and faster. And I don't know,
I can see getting caught up with like maybe you're listening to something fast beat or something like that, or something like super slow. So you start like animating slower or quicker depending on like the mood that you're in. You know, I don't know. I like to have like at least some chill hop or something going on in the background, you know, because I don't know, like there's something about, even if it's at like volume 2, you know, just kind of sets a mood sometimes, like, you know, I mean, that's just chill hop. Chill hop is just so low level, like it's just kind of there. It's not too intrusive. You know, you have the obligatory sound clip from a film or something, you know, like it's going, and then there's a guy like, sometimes bears like to go in caves, you know, something like, you know, it's just a random clip of something. And I don't know. I feel relaxed from that, but it can get really distracting depending on what it is.
I think it depends on the process that you're on, because, for example, when I am painting, I am painting a texture, or I am doing something like very mechanical, then having music is very useful.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But when I am struggling with a rigging problem, for example, I don't know why this joint is not following this controller, and I have a lagging problem, and I have to figure out these things.
Mm-hmm.
I have to turn the music down because my brain needs to like focus on only the problem.
That's understandable.
And I think that this happens in animation as well. Like you have to be very concentrated in the animation. We have like 2 weeks of animation for our spots. 1 week we do like a blocking pass where we just do the storyboard poses, and you have these poses in the storyboard. You just have to translate them into 3D. So this process with music is like very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But the second week is a week of polishing, of doing the in-betweens. And this is a process where your mind has to be very, very concentrated.
Yeah.
And music just stands in the way.
Yeah. Now, how about TV shows?
TV shows, I liked a lot Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe my favorite TV shows are Avatar, The Last Airbender,
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
and maybe The Sopranos.
And do you find that it influences your work sometimes? Some of, you know.
A lot, yeah. No, it influences so much, and the content of our series. Suddenly, I get scared of how much resembles certain things of the Avatar,
Mm-hmm.
because our show is about these 3 friends that have adventures and have like a good time, but they are like a child version of the gods that were worshipped in Mexico before Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them is the god of the wind, and the other is the god of fire, and the god of earth, the goddess of earth, and the goddess of water.
Mm-hmm.
So of course the resemblance with Avatar is like very scary because you just suddenly you just realize that you're almost plagiarizing stuff.
Now, what about podcasts? Because I know you might not necessarily listen to a lot of stuff while you're working, but do you have time to listen to podcasts? Do you ever listen to anything?
I'm very new to podcast. I listened like back in when I was working in a big network that, of course, you have like a lot of hours of just sitting there and doing nothing. I remember I came across the podcast of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That was called I don't remember the name of the podcast, but
I think I know which one you're talking about. It was pretty popular.
yeah, I have to think about the name, but let me see if I can Google it. Did you guys see the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, well, while you're looking for that, what about plugin? What's your go-to plugin?
Well, the thing with our production with Sally is that it is a plugin free production.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And this is because we send our render to a render farm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we actually, at the beginning, we had one plugin that was the switch object.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And this plugin was very cool because what we did, I don't know if you remember in my SIGGRAPH presentation, I talked about BAMP. That is this way of like putting clothes and moving clothes with the character rig.
Yeah.
But before I discovered or rediscovered BAMP, I didn't want to use like dynamics for the cloth. So what I did was I painted. If we needed the characters to have some clothes on, then we painted it. And what we did is that with this switch plugin, we could switch from the normal texture of the character to another texture.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we could we could have like different outfits for the character. But then the render farm told us that that they couldn't render because of this plugin. So we had to like make actually a very simple espresso that just did the same thing. And I don't know if you remember, but as well in my presentation, I was showing how we have like our layout, and we can change the layout from day to noon to night. And this is with this same principle. So I would have to say that that was like the plugin that I used for many, many years.
And other than that, you just make your own plugin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The plugin was named Switch.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, you can find it in Cineversity. I think it's over there. And you can switch textures, but you can as well switch objects. And I have to say another thing. I just remembered, very important. I was doing in 2015 an animation for a client in Miami, and they wanted to have animation for their news broadcast every day. So animation had to be crazy fast. So I contacted this guy, Nitro 4D. Have you heard about him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he told me about this plugin that he developed that was the Nitro Pose. And this is something I want to look in the future for, because the Nitro Pose allows you to make a library of poses of your character.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
And yes, this is very cool because you could have like not only a walk cycle and a run cycle ready. So, for example, as an animation studio, you get a script, and in the script, the character walks into a room and grabs, I don't know, a guitar. So with the Nitro Pose, you can have like the walk cycle ready. You just put it, and then you can have the like certain squash and stretch poses, and you just like have to do certain refining. But a lot of poses can be like predetermined in a library that you build.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, this has been around for a while, huh?
Yeah, he does a lot of very, very cool stuff, and he's very cool. I got in touch with him, and he answered like a lot of my questions, and he helped me a lot to understand a lot of things about rigging. And that's one of the things I love about what you guys have built as a C4D community, like all this way of sharing the information. It's amazing. I mean, I don't know if we are going to be. I hope I am able to incorporate more people in Mexico and in Latin America to this wonderful way of thinking, to have a community, because of course, if we're together, we can figure out things. Sometimes in 3D, you get stuck and you don't know how to figure out stuff. And for example, right now, I really want to send a mail to Brett Base because I am not being able of figuring out one thing of rigging in the legs. And just having this sense of community and sharing is what makes this possible.
Totally.
Yeah, are you on our Slack? You're on our Slack now, right?
Yeah, I'm on the Slack.
Okay, cool. Because
in the C4D Live, right?
No, the Mograph.com Slack.
No, I'm not on that one.
Oh, we definitely need to.
We'll send you an invite.
Yeah, we got to add you to that. Because there's a character, like a rigging channel in there now. I noticed that.
Is there really?
Yeah, there's a rigging channel. It's probably been there.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for maybe 3 months of this year, I was with 5 of the riggers here in the studio, like trying to figure out a lot of things that we want to incorporate to the rigs of the characters. but there were like this was like a struggle of figuring out a lot of things that I know that a lot of people out there already know, and a lot of the things that we wanted to incorporate to the rig we were able to do, but there is a list of things that we were not able to figure out how to do, how to rig. And so I went to LA to see Graph with this list, and I sat down with Fritz and other people from development, and I was like, okay, how can I do and how can I achieve this? And suddenly Chris Schmidt came along, and we had like this half an hour amazing session of everybody throwing ideas into the rig that was priceless.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's, that happens a lot on our Slack. We have 731 members now on our Slack. So there's definitely somebody, if you have a question, there's definitely somebody who can answer it, I think, in there. I was just noticing, like, I haven't looked at analytics in a while. You realize we've had over, I mean, of course, it tops out at 10,000 messages. It deletes the older messages, but 547,000 messages, over 500,000 messages in there, which is insane. That's crazy. And
and I read every single one of them.
Yeah, I don't know how you manage to do that. But yeah, then the number of active members is really high too, hundreds of people. So yeah, we'll open that up again at some point, but we'll definitely send you one here like after the show, because it's such a great community.
Yes, please do.
I don't even get to go in there as often as I'd like, but all right, let's see. We got 3 more questions for you here. Number 1 is headphones. What are your favorite headphones?
I don't have headphones.
What are you wearing now? You've got something on now.
So these headphones that I have right now are headphones. One of the guys that animate here in the studio, I borrowed this from him.
Oh, okay.
Because
funny.
He's a gamer, and I told him about I need a microphone and a headphone, and he was kind enough to lend me his microphone.
And
but
what brand
I actually
is that?
don't.
It sounds pretty good.
Let me tell you, it's
It says on the top there, Trinitron.
On the top. You can't hear us.
Oh yeah, you can't
There
hear
you
us. Triton. Cool.
Right.
Triton. Okay, what about app? Do you have a favorite app?
I think
like
I'm
that one app that you always open on your phone because you just
I think for me the app that has been growing a lot of me because I've been understanding it recently is Instagram.
Yeah,
because for many years I was so reluctant to go into social media.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't want to do like any of that stuff. But now, with the studio and with the series like of Sally, Instagram has led me to put out there like the work and to get in touch with people. And I've recently just understood how it works, and the stories are amazing how they work, and that actually there's like this way of using it not as just a single user, but as a studio. So
I was thinking about that last week. As a company, like it's starting to make sense, and
exactly.
Stories are starting to make sense to me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I didn't use it, but then like my girlfriend has been like teaching me how to use it. She has a studio, and it's amazing, like the things that you can do. And of course, everyone now is really connected in this app. And of course, I always had like this very bad impression of Facebook, because I didn't want to see like what people were doing with their vacations on whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But then when I saw Instagram was more for professional work and getting in touch with people, with interesting people, and this is what I liked a lot about Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And now,
I agree.
this is a hard one. So you may or may not have an answer to this, but what is your favorite life hack?
Yeah. This, I don't know. Well, I don't know if this is a life hack, but for me it is. And it is meditation.
Oh, okay.
We've heard that one a lot.
Yeah.
We really have heard that one a lot. Yeah.
I think for me, meditate. I get up like 5 o'clock in the morning every day and do 30 minutes of meditation, and it's unbelievable the way you feel, the energy that suddenly you feel all through the day. Your mind is more focused. I don't know. It's been a change. I've been doing meditation for like only since last November. It's just like less than a year. But the changes that I feel like are in my mind and in my work, and the way that I animate, and the way that I talk, and the way that everything. I really encourage people to go into meditation. It's I don't know. I feel like it's a way of like logging off, like letting the brain rest.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been amazing. I think that's like what I understand as my life hack.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. We really appreciate you being on. If people want to find you online, you're at Polygon. And what about your website? What is your website address?
The website is polygon.tv. That's a T as in Thomas and a V as in Victor.
Cool.
And polygon.tv. Yeah, that's our website. There you can find our demo reel, and you can see I have posted in the website a lot of our work and like making ofs of what we do. And in Instagram we are as Polygon Animation, and well, my email is emiliano@polygon.tv as well.
Cool.
And yeah, you can find me there if anybody has like any questions on the tools that we use for character animation, because I know that not a lot of people do character animation in Cinema 4D, and we have to be together. We have to get in touch, because a lot of people like me, I suppose, have questions on how to rig and how to animate and how to use some tools. And I will be more than happy to help and to be part of the community.
Cool.
So yeah, you can reach me there, and yeah, I mean, right now we're, as I was telling you before, we're trying to get the series picked up by a network. So right now we're like crossing our fingers with Discovery Kids.
Oh yeah,
cool.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Very cool.
So,
yeah, and we'll get you in the Slack too, because I'm sure there's all sorts of discussion to be had there. So
yeah, and of course, if you guys know someone in Discovery or in Disney or whatever,
yeah,
I will appreciate the contact as well.
Totally. Cool. Well, we're going to get out of here. You can rate us on iTunes or leave a review. You can also subscribe on your podcatcher of choice. It helps get our ratings up. You can subscribe to our newsletter as well on the site. You can say you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt with the Mograph logo tee, the Paul Babb Feel the Babb 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders, the Render Things hoodie, t-shirt, and long sleeve tee as well. And then that Render is Fire shirt. All of that's available on Amazon.com. Eventually, I'll get some links up on the site for that as well. And of course, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, Mograph.com. Check us out there, yo. And all the things. And that wraps it up until next week. I'm Dave.
I'm Matt.
Thank you very much, Dave and Matt. It's been a pleasure to be with you guys, and I really, really appreciate it. I hope to do more things with you in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Have a good one.
Later, yo.
Let's listen to this song here.
Camp Mograph, we can learn and play. Camp Mograph, where we escape the age and say. Spend your days out in nature, maybe meet a pixel pushing teacher. Camp Mograph, we're here with you today. Catch the fish with a little reel, and run around in depth of fields, and take a ride on Mr. Horse. Maybe make a motion corpse, and ditch trap code and rotoscopes. When they say fix it in post, and you know that won't work so well, tell them go to Camp Mograph, where we can learn and play. Camp Mograph, where we escape the age and say. Spend your days out in nature, maybe meet a pixel pushing teacher. Camp Mograph, we're here with you today.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to turn off the things here. Hold on 1 second. Hit stop on my recording.
Should I stop my recording?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.